and build a niche for your practice. I am Christy Gusick and partner here, a co-partner, I should say, with today's presenter, Terry Wheeler, whom I will be introducing in one moment. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that you are welcome at any time to ask questions via the chat section in your webinar browser, and also save questions for the end of the presentation because we will be answering questions when Terry completes the webinar. We do also record these webinars and make them available in a follow-up email if you'd like to watch it or share it with someone else. And we also post them on our website so you can refer back to them in the future. And when you leave today's webinar, you will have an opportunity to complete an evaluation where we will offer free tools and an opportunity for us to send you a copy of today's slides if you would like. So I would like to just take a quick moment and introduce, for those of you that do not know Terry Wheeler, our presenter today, and just tell you a little bit about Terry, as she's just going to be a wonderful resource for you on this topic of how to develop a niche for your practice. Terry's actually been in practice on her own as the founder of Professional Services Marketing for over 20 years. Prior to that, she was marketing director within 3 local law firms here in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area for 12 years. And currently, she's serving as a board member for the Lawyers Professional Responsibility Board. She's a faculty at 3 Midwestern law schools, and she also carries a master's degree in business from St. Thomas. One of the things that Terry is passionate about when she works with her clients, either on the personal side in her coaching practice or as a outsourced marketing director, is helping people develop a strong niche. And in today's market, that's more important than ever. So with all that said, I'd like to pass the baton over to Terry Wheeler and let her take it from here.
Thank you, Christy. Well, welcome everyone to the webinar today. I want to begin by talking a little bit about what we're going to cover today so that you can look forward to each and every section of our discussion. First of all, we're going to talk about how you choose a niche for your practices. We're going to look at what are the advantages of having a niche. There really aren't any disadvantages, so we're just going to cover the advantages of having a niche. We're going to talk about how to help you define your niche in the marketplace. And then finally, what's a niche if you're not out there promoting and communicating it to all of your target audiences? And then as Christy mentioned, we are going to end with a question and answer session. So again, please do use that chat feature and submit your questions, and we will get to every single one of them at the end of our call today. So we're going to start by launching a poll. And our poll, whoops, hang on one second here. We are going to start by launching a poll. And the poll is, we want your perspective on whether or not you feel you have a niche. So do you think right now that you have a niche in the marketplace? Just your off-the-cuff response. And we're going to give you a couple of minutes to complete that. Okay, we have about 10% of you yet who need to cast your vote. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for participating in that. We're gonna share the result with you right now, and so it's actually good. Half of you feel that you really do have a well-established niche, and about half of you feel that you don't. So the people who feel they have an established niche already, I think our presentation today is going to help you come up with some ideas on how you can even further refine that niche that you do have in the marketplace. So with that, we're going to begin by talking about what is your niche and how do you define your niche. The first thing is we look at where you have the highest level of visibility, where you have credibility, where you feel very, very comfortable in your knowledge and people view you as the expert in a particular area, and also your subject matter expertise. If you find that you're being asked time and time again to write or speak on a particular subject, you'll realize what the marketplace is describing and defining they think your niche is. So all of these things combined, your visibility, your credibility, your subject matter expertise, they all lead you to the mystical thing that is called your niche in your practice. So let's talk for a minute about why having a niche is really important, because there are some common misconceptions that I would like to dispel when I talk to my lawyers and financial advisors and services clients on why they need a niche. So here's why you need a niche. First of all, it provides a lot of focus in your practice. You don't want to be a generalist. You don't want to be the person who says, I can be all things to all people. And having a niche also reflects what you do, what you really enjoy most. It means that when you practice your trade, you're operating at your best and highest use. And in doing so, you're giving clients a higher level of knowledge because you know their business, their state in life, and they value and appreciate that more so than other professionals who just say, I can do and be all things to all people. Having a niche also really differentiates you from your competition. As you know, clients will look at, gosh, I'm a lawyer, I'm a financial advisor, or I'm another service professional. Unless you can really determine and convey concisely what differentiates you from your competition, it just becomes harder. You're just one of those green apples, and we want you to be the red apple because you have a niche. Having a niche also allows you to maximize your revenue potential, because people who meet with you will perceive that you are providing a greater value if you know their world, if you know and understand their station in life, if you know and understand their industry, and you can use some industry quote-unquote jargon when you're talking to people. They are going to choose that professional services provider every time who has a stronger, better understanding of what they deal with on a day-to-day basis. And having a niche also positions you to become a noted subject matter expert. And one of the myths that I want to dispel right now is the fact that I hear from a lot of our clients, well, if I have a niche, does that mean I'm not going to be able to do all the other things that I do in my practice? And the answer is, of course not. Having a niche is simply a way of, let's say, picking a major when you're in college. You want to have that niche area that you can market with. It's about how you market and promote and communicate your services. Of course, you're always going to be able to do other types of work that you do for your clients. Now, let's consider, because I don't want to be amorphous here, let's consider a few examples of different types of niches that Christy and I have seen in our work with clients. For example, you might be a financial advisor who works with corporate executives on tax-deferred comp and stock option plans. Now, that's a really refined area of focus for a financial advisor, and it's something that senior executives look at the knowledge base and will likely choose someone if they need that type of service who has the expertise versus any financial planner. Here's another example. A corporate lawyer who, being a corporate lawyer, as you know, you can do corporate work for just about any kind of business, but this one happens to serve precision machinists. And I don't know if any of you were on the webinar that I did on trade association involvement, but again, if you're perceived as being a corporate lawyer who happens to know that precision manufacturing industry, it's more likely that those precision machinists are going to hire you. Here's another one, a financial advisor who specifically serves physicians in the wealth accumulation phase of their lives. That's a great niche to have. Again, there are a lot of financial advisors, there are a lot of lawyers out there, and basically you need to be able to have something that makes you stick out above the rest, the red apple in the group, so to speak. Now, here's a good one. I had to throw this one in because this is our niche. Our company, Professional Services Marketing, focuses on serving two industries and two groups, financial advisors and lawyers. And does that mean that, if some other, let's say a CPA or a banking organization came to us, would we work with them? Well, of course we could, but we're establishing our niche in the area of working with financial advisors and lawyers. Or you might have a family lawyer serving the GLTB community. There are needs there that were never present before. That's a great niche for a family attorney to have. Or maybe it's a language capability that you might have, a Spanish-speaking lawyer who can serve the Spanish community. I've actually had, just as an aside, I've had a couple of clients, I of course won't mention names, say, I really want to go after the Muslim community or the Spanish-speaking community. And I'll ask them, well, what's your tie? What's your tie to that group? And they say, well, nothing. I just think that they're underserved. So obviously when you're coming up with a niche, you have to have a connection into the group or the industry. Because like I said before, everything else being equal, the brains, the competence, the expertise, clients are always going to choose the person who they feel knows their industry or position in life over people who do not. So let's talk a little bit about some of the advantages of having a niche and some of the benefits. So what are the benefits of having a niche area that you practice in? First of all, it maximizes your revenue because people, in fact, we did a survey a number of years ago on how organizations hire professional services firms. And what we found is that clients will hire based on expertise. It doesn't matter to them what your pricing is. They absolutely resoundingly said that I will hire someone who has professional services experience, and I don't really care what their billing structure is because they know my world and they know my industry. So by having a niche, you can maximize your revenue and reduce price sensitivity by just being another commodity out there. It also gives you a competitive advantage. When you can go out and frame up your niche area of expertise, you're essentially saying, all of you people out there who don't have a niche, I have a competitive advantage over you because I know who I am and what I do and the value I bring. So having a niche definitely gives you a competitive advantage in the marketplace. And again, for financial advisors and attorneys, there's a lot of competition out there, and clients are not sure how to really evaluate one provider over another. It also gives you the ability to really delve into targeted marketing opportunities. When you have a niche, it becomes much easier to identify who you're marketing to and what your messages need to be. Again, you might have a generic service that you can do for just about anybody or any company, but by being able to pull some of those highest levels of expertise that you have to offer into some nice marketing messages, you really can do some great targeted marketing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about how to promote your niche. Additional benefits of having a niche. You become perceived as the expert in a particular group or area. You become the sought-after individual that is asked to write articles and speak at upcoming events because you are known as the expert for a certain group. It also makes it a lot easier for your referral sources to refer business to you. We've worked with financial advisors in the past, and it was as simple as one of our clients telling us that their core group where they have a niche is in working with baby boomers and people who are in kind of that pre-retirement mode, and that's where the vast majority of their clients are right now, and they know all the issues, and it simply makes it easier for me or for Christy to refer a financial advisor if we know that this is a niche area where they excel, where clients know them in that area. So it makes it much easier for those valuable referral sources out there to send business your way. And it also positions you to become known for your expertise. You have to start somewhere. And again, a lot of people don't want to think about, well, if I really go out there with a niche, I'm going to lose business in other areas. That's just not the case. It positions you, having a niche positions you to become known for what it is you love doing most and that reflects your best and highest use of your time and talent as a professional. So now let's talk about how you define your niche. So what does defining your niche really mean? First of all, what you want to do is consider the services you offer. What do I offer, as well as what is my highest level of expertise? You want to look at what types of clients or industries do I provide those services to. And then it allows you to very easily say, well, my target market isn't just everybody out there. It's a very specific linear group of people that you can identify. And the more you can identify your target market, the more targeted marketing you can do to that particular group. Defining your niche forces you to step back and say, who are my ideal clients and what do they really have in common? I know this is a repeating theme in our webinars, but it's so very important for you to realize that there are clients that are a very good use of your time and that you love working with. And then there are other clients who, as you get into the working relationship, you may wonder, why did I take this person or this family or this company on as a client? So defining your niche really forces you to understand and identify what your very best clients have in common. It also allows you to better consider who your competitors are. So it isn't just who are my competitors who happen to be lawyers or financial advisors or other service professionals. It's, do I have competitors who are also positioning their services in the same niche? Because it becomes a lot easier to create unique strategies and creative strategies to differentiate yourself when you know who you're competing against. It also helps you, one thing I want to mention here is that when you do have a niche, let's go back to the precision machinists in the precision manufacturing industry, for example. When you have that niche, it's not too hard to find others who have that niche. If you're an attorney, you do a search, you go out to some accounting firms, and you realize, wow, there are 3 or 4 firms in town that have a defined niche in the area of working with precision manufacturers. Gee, here's a bank that has a whole niche area just for precision machine shops. So by identifying your niche, you can proactively search for other professionals who are serving that same niche. Or if you go to an event for the precision machinists, you'll see who the other people are who are either exhibiting or writing articles for the publication. And it becomes that much easier for you not just to get yourself in front of that target audience, but to develop relationships with others who are serving the same niche area. So first, you really do have to uncover your niche. You have to, after the analysis that we just talked about in terms of defining your niche, you now need to uncover what your own niche is by thinking about what is it that you're known for? What expertise do you have that's different than others? It just as in the stock option deferred compensation example, you're a financial planner, but you also have this super defined knowledge and expertise. I've had a client actually who had that expertise, and not only was her expertise in that area, but it was within one huge mega corporation. So not only did she have the knowledge and expertise in the area, this complex area of deferred compensation and stock options, she then built the expertise of how that huge company's stock option plan works. So guess who one of those senior executives is going to call when they need that type of advice? They're going to contact her because she knows not just the company, but this complex area. So having expertise that is at a different level than others is a very important thing to think about when you're uncovering your niche. Think about the topics that you feel, or more importantly, that the marketplace and your clients and contacts and referral sources think that you are a subject matter expert on. You'll find over time that you become the go-to person. When you have a niche, you become that go-to person that your clients will refer others to and say, wow, well, this is who I recommend because they so understand our world. And then also look at the industry that attracts your best clients. There's always going to be a commonality, a common group that attracts the people who happen to fall into your niche. If your niche is, in fact, new physicians, well, there are medical schools here in Minnesota and across the country, depending upon where your practice is, that you can identify as this is an audience. This is an audience that I need to get in front of. So It's a combination of these 4 things that will actually help you uncover your niche. Because when you uncover your niche, you need to run with it. You need to focus on it. You need to have it a part of everything you're doing in your practice. You need to blog on it. You need to do social media posts on it. We're going to get into that in a minute here. But once you identify your niche, it makes marketing that much easier for you. It honestly does. Because everything is then centered around the unique value that you bring to your clients. So how do you know and begin to understand that unique value that's ultimately going to lead to your niche? You ask yourself a few pointed questions. And by the way, as Christy mentioned, the presentation will be available to you in PDF form. So if you were taking copious notes, you actually don't have to right now. So in terms of knowing your unique value, you have to think about what value do you really deliver to your clients. We're going to talk in a minute about how you can gain access to that information. We need to look at what really is unique about your personal experience and the clients that you've worked with in the past. Think about the concerns that you alleviate for your niche market. What is it that you step in and do? What is their issue? This kind of speaks to something that I've talked about before, which is your representative experience. How do you show people that you've done what you need? What concerns, when you have a client, what are their issues that they're facing? What is your approach to working with them because of your deep understanding of their market or their situation? What are the results that you generate for clients like that? These are invaluable ways in which to demonstrate your expertise, is by focusing on the concerns you alleviate for your niche market. And very importantly, what do you want your clients to tell others about you when they're referring you? The more defined your niche messages are, the easier it is for your clients to say, yes, you should really work with this particular financial advisor because he focuses or she focuses on working with people just like us who are going through this life transition from working their entire lives into sort of a pre-retirement mode, and that's what they focus on. That's where their expertise is. That's where they specialize. And think about it from a client's perspective. If someone gives you a referral like that, you're far more likely to work with that person who has the established niche. Now, I mentioned the first question up here is identifying the value that you deliver to your clients. So how do you determine that unique value? Christy and I are big proponents of, if you don't know what uniquely differentiates you, ask your clients. There are many ways in which to do that. In fact, that's maybe a program in and of itself, is how to solicit feedback from your clients and utilize that in your marketing efforts. But what you want to do, it's easy for you to sit in your office and think, well, I know why my clients value me, and I know who they think I compete with or who I competed with to earn their business. But the very best way to do that is to conduct a client satisfaction survey. And you can do this by hiring an outside resource to do telephone conferences. And I say the outside resources because clients are likely not going to give you the total honest view if they're speaking directly to you or someone who works for you. So there's that objectivity that you need so that clients really do feel comfortable giving you that type of feedback. But from client surveys, many wonderful things spring, including the ability to use testimonials for lawyers, particularly, to use feedback that you receive in order to continue to build your niche, in order to have some content for your website that says, in a pull quote, if you know what those are, it's just a little quote on the side of your website. 99.9% of our clients would refer us to others. Something like that comes from pure empirical evidence, and that is through the survey that you conducted. So if you don't know what your unique value is, take a step back and consider asking some of your very best clients some of those questions. And I talked a little bit about creating your niche messages. So let's talk a little bit about what those messages need to convey. They need to talk about who you are as a professional, why you chose the niche that you did. What do you do in your niche that differentiates your knowledge from other people who offer similar services? Who do you serve when you're out there delivering your services? Who are your clients and what value do you bring to them? Extremely important. And what we want you to do with these niche messages is we want you to pull them into an elevator speech, and we're also going to offer that as a tool for you as well, and I'll talk more about that on the next slide. But it's basically about, and I'm crediting my business partner, Christy, because she used a derivative of this in another presentation she did, but it's, I help my niche client achieve this kind of benefit by, and then you have the opportunity to really convey your services and the expertise that you bring. For example, I work with physicians in their final year of residency to establish sound financial practices as they enter the wealth accumulation stage of their lives to ensure they have a prosperous and well-funded retirement. It says what you do, the value you bring, and it also says, I work with physicians. That's a fabulous niche to have because physicians will pass your name around and they will view you as the go-to person for other physicians because you happen to deliver services to a significant number of physicians, and that's how your niche practice will grow. Now, I have to give a nod here to having that elevator speech. The previous slide really went through how you create your elevator speech, but it's important that you have a very compelling statement of who you are, what you do, the value you bring, and that niche area in which you work. And that's where people get scared because they think, well, I'm at a cocktail party and someone asks me what I do. Do I really want to limit myself by saying I do a lot of work in the precision manufacturing industry? Or do I just want to say, well, I'm a corporate lawyer? And my point is, by having that specific elevator speech that conveys your niche, people are going to be thinking about, well, who do I know that might fall into that category, and they're going to be much more likely to refer you. So one thing to remember when you're talking about your messages is your key niche message has to discuss why your clients hire you and the value you bring. And those responses become your niche messages. And with any message, you have to be able to morph that message depending upon the usage, depending upon the audience, depending upon the person that you're speaking to. So niche messages are not meant to refine you and focus you so deeply that people don't even know you do other things, but rather to underscore and convey the higher level expertise that you bring in your niche. Now we're going to talk about the exciting part, which is how you promote your niche. So you've gone through all of the analysis. You know your niche, you know your expertise, you know who's hiring you right now for those types of services. So now we need to talk about ways in which you can promote this niche. One way to promote your niche is to make sure that you're strongly communicating it in your biography. Make sure that those key words of the areas, the industries, the type of work that you're doing are strongly conveyed in your bio, and just know that it is not going to preclude you by communicating your niche. Christy and I had long discussions when we started our business together about the logical niche that we have is in the financial services and the legal industries, and is that going to preclude other people from wanting to hire us? And in fact, it's just the opposite. We have a wonderful cadre of many different clients, and what they have in common is that they're either in the financial services industry or they're in the legal industry. Every once in a while, a client will pop up where we have the ability to potentially work with someone who's a little bit outside of our niche, and that's something you can always choose. But the point is, in your biography on your website, you want to make sure that you're drawing attention to those areas that you consider, or the area that you consider to be your niche. Also, for law firms in particular, you want to be able to remember when I was just talking about the concept of here's the client's issue, here's how I work with the client, and here's the kind of solution that we generate. Having this focus that exemplifies your niche, having areas of your practice that you can literally say, been there, done that, is a fabulous way to show people who are visiting your website that you really do have this refined area of expertise that you can offer to them. Now, for those of you who are on the last webinar, you might recall this slide, but it's really relevant as well here in terms of how to best market your niche. You want to make it easy for your referral sources to refer you to others. And having a defined niche, in this case within the practice of law, makes it a lot easier. Now, I would even take it a step further and say you can be a criminal defense attorney, but maybe you're a criminal defense attorney who represents juveniles, or maybe you're a criminal defense attorney who represents a certain type of offender. You are much more likely to be referred if you have that niche. The point here is we're talking about how to promote your niche. Come up with something like this that's a PDF, that's a 2-page PDF that says, here's what I do, here's the value I bring to my clients, this is my philosophy on why I've really developed and refined this niche, and here's some examples of other clients that I have helped in this niche. And it just makes it that much easier for that accounting firm who also represents a similar niche to refer you into new business opportunities. Now, this one goes without saying, but you want to communicate your niche on your website. The website that you see from Milton Family Law, the unique niche that this particular client has is that she focuses only on working with women and women's parental rights, and she drew a line in the sand. And when we were first discussing this, when she started her practice, she had to walk through the possibility of literally leaving 50% of clients on the table because she was so thoroughly focused on working with women. She has done this, and she has built an incredibly thriving practice because she was willing to differentiate herself in that way. There are many, many different ways that you can differentiate yourself and develop your niche, but the most important thing is convey it on your website, convey it in all of your marketing materials, and really convey it in everything you do. Speaking of which, I want you to consider really promoting your niche on social media. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is you want to think about joining LinkedIn groups that attract your niche audience. In doing so, you have access to every single person who happens to be in that group. You can weigh in, you can start discussions, you can respond to discussions, and it makes your LinkedIn time feel that much more productive. Because we've talked to a lot of clients who say, I know I should be doing more on LinkedIn, but I just have no clue as to what I should be doing. Well, having a niche and promoting that niche using social media really gives focus and provides you with focus when you sit down to say, okay, I'm going to do some social media today, which hopefully you're all doing just about every day. As I mentioned, it allows you to participate in those group discussions using your high-level expertise to shed light on issues or concerns that people may not have thought of, and again, positioning you as the expert in this particular area. You want to post content on your social media sites that underscores your niche. One of our clients is an employment law firm, and one of the things that we've been doing with each of the attorneys, they're a plaintiff's firm, and one of the things we've been doing is working with each of the attorneys to help them determine within this large area of plaintiff's employment work, what is your particular niche? And we have one person who's really committed to building his expertise in the area of representing people who've been discriminated against because of disability. We have another who's interested in the whistleblower and retaliation niche within a plaintiff's employment law practice. So the more specific you can get in your niche, the easier it is for you to start posting content to your social media sites that really communicates your knowledge and understanding of the niche that you've chosen. Of course, you also want to be able to write blog posts on topics within your niche. Now, before you hang up the phone and say, I am never going to do a blog, I want to put a little plug in for why it's important. There are myriad reasons why having and posting a blog on the topics within your niche is important. Number one, You have the ability, because the blog post is tied to you and the keywords that you're using in that blog post are going to convey your niche. So if someone searches for someone within your niche, it's far more likely that because of the treatment you've given your website and your biography and the blog posts that you do on these topics, you are going to come up higher on the organic search results in Google. That in and of itself is a great reason to do blog posts. And let me just say that blogging on the topics within your niche is about, it's not about doing an article where you have to have citations. We're talking a 400 to 600 word summary of something that's relevant to the people and to the groups and to the industries that represent your niche. So definitely consider writing blog posts on topics within your niche, as well as promoting your blog posts. A lot of firms will say, gosh, you know, we're doing all this blogging, but nothing is really happening. And a blog post in and of itself sitting on your website under the tab that says blog is probably not going to generate the kind of readership that you want. So things that you can do, you can have a sign up for our blog post feature on your website where people put their email address in, and you can promote your blog posts within the industries, within the niche areas that you have, because what you're doing is you're building, it's a momentum building process that the more you do in your niche, the more you become known in that area. The more you write, the more you're going to be asked to contribute articles. The more you speak, the more often you're going to be asked to come in and do presentations to that particular niche group. Now, I know that there are limitations for financial advisors, but I bring this up because there are just a couple of excerpts from our website. And as you can see on our homepage, we have our niches front and center. We have our financial services marketing under Powerful Results, and we have our legal services marketing. And so we decided to draw that line in the sand and to just put it out there that these are the two areas that we have the greatest level of expertise and that we focus in. For attorneys and for legal industry websites, again, the more that you can tie your experience to clients who are saying, gosh, this person is fabulous in this area, tying niche-oriented testimonials to those practice areas that you're working in your niche are very powerful. And again, going back to the client survey, that's a great way to get testimonials, is to solicit them from your clients in the form of a client satisfaction survey and use those to demonstrate that you really do have the knowledge. Ideally, if you recall Larry Schaefer's biography that I put up on the screen, there was the section that I showed you next, which was about the results. And with the results, you actually click into his areas, his niche areas, and you can see the experience that he has in those areas, and you can also see client testimonials that are specifically from people who he delivered services for within his niche. I just want to talk for a minute also, and I know I did a whole webinar on this, but when you do define a niche, try to join some sort of a trade or professional association that attracts the people that are in your niche, and don't just join it, but become active. So just to reiterate, for those of you who weren't on that particular webinar, you want to research associations that attract your niche clients. You really want to determine the fit. You can always go to association meetings without joining them because they're trying to recruit you. They want you to become a member. And when you do choose to become a member, become a high-profile member, write, speak, be a resource, volunteer, sponsor events. Because then, as you get to know the people within the organization, you can really put your niche marketing into play, and you can pursue some of these targeted marketing opportunities with select association members. So as I mentioned, this is just sort of reiterating. You can write articles. You can give presentations. You can join a committee and actively participate. The most important thing is to make a commitment to the organization and do what you say you will do. Back to the building relationships with other professionals. You'll also have other professionals there that can become fabulous referral sources for you, as well as they being able to refer you into opportunities. And this is a statement that I want you to really focus on because it's true. If you pursue the right activities and you do them consistently over time, not changing on a dime and trying new things all the time, but if you have your niche and you pursue the right activities consistently over time, you will be successful. You may not be successful tomorrow or next week, but you will be successful. So now we have the opportunity for us to respond to questions that you've submitted. We do have a few questions, and I'm going to start with the first one, which is from Lisa. Lisa's question is, my niche now is legal research, writing, and litigation support for other lawyers. I'm confronting a lot of new attorneys competing with me for the same business. So you're working to refine your niche in e-discovery and with small to medium-sized firms, dealing with a steep learning curve. Any suggestions on how to proceed? Well, if your niche is legal research, Lisa, it sounds to me like you've already been doing this. One of the best ways to compete when you're looking at a niche is through experience. So there might be a lot of new lawyers out there who can't find jobs, and they're thinking that they can do exactly what you've done. But the more that you can draw upon your experience and stress it and focus on it in your biography and on your website and through client testimonials, the stronger your message is going to be about why they should hire you versus attorneys who are out there looking for a job. Another question. This is a good one. This is from Laura, and we hear this all the time. Can I hire someone else to write my blogs and put my name on it? The answer is yes, you can, Laura, and it's called hiring a ghostwriter. And there are all kinds of fabulous writers out there who, when they know you and they know your niche and they know your industry, they're able to draft blog posts for you. And in fact, this is something we do for a lot of our clients because, you know, the reality of it is people have good intentions about how they're going to blog and how they're going to do their social media and how often they're going to post, but many times that falls through the cracks because they get busy. So just know that, yes, Laura, there are resources out there that can help you write blogs that you can put your name on. They're not offended. That's what they do for a living. Another part of the question is that you're posting articles and comments on LinkedIn and gaining expertise in your field. Okay, I'm sorry, this is from Lisa. But again, the question is dealing with a learning curve, getting into the idea, is this a good idea or a bad idea? It's an excellent idea. So Lisa's question surrounded, should I use LinkedIn as a forum for establishing my expertise? Obviously, LinkedIn and any social media venue is all about your knowledge and expertise and sharing your thought leadership. So to the extent that you want to post something that positions you as a thought leader and a knowledge expert in that area, you need to make sure that you've done your research and that you're engaging at that high level. So make sure that you're very confident with the response that you're giving, but it's a great way to establish. And the other thing that this raises for me is that LinkedIn and social media are two-way streets. It's not just about you posting. So let's say you're involved in a group that attracts a lot of people from your niche area. Well, you need to respond back to them. You need to like what they're posting. You need to engage with them at a higher level versus just saying, well, I'm out there and I'm posting and, gee, my phone isn't ringing. So I do just want to stress that social media in that regard is a two-way street. We have a question from Sue about what is the best way to enter a niche that's new but for which we believe we're well suited. Well, Sue, that's a great question. Probably the best way to enter a niche is to start talking to people who would be your prospective clients in that niche. It would be looking at the services you offer through the lens of delivering them to a particular niche. It might mean redoing some of the content that you have on your biographies and your website to really stress your niche in a particular area or within a particular industry. This scenario is really the best of all worlds because what you said is you're very well suited to serve this niche. And I interpret that to say you have experience, you have case studies, you have that been there, done that. So then it's just a matter of going through some of the analysis that we went through earlier in this presentation to determine who they are, where they hang out, getting in front of them, writing, speaking to organizations that attract your niche audience. And let's see here, secondarily, what's the best way to enter a niche that's new? Oh, I'm sorry, the question was, was asked twice. So with that, I'm happy to report that it is now 11:45, and our webinar is about to conclude. I want to remind all of you, first I want to thank you all for participating in today's webinar, and please do stay on the web-based version of this, because as I exit out, you're going to then be directed to the evaluation, which is where you're able to ask us to send you some materials and tools that we're offering through this webinar. So with that, I would like to thank all of you and hope you have a wonderful, warm weekend and a great holiday. Thank you again for attending.